Hey there, Liberal Dan here. In case you missed my most recent video, this week SourceFed created a video that wrongly accused Google of manipulating autocomplete results on searches on Hillary Clinton. Many sources, including my own videos, proved them wrong. Now, did they have the guts to go ahead and admit that they were wrong and that they used flawed methodology, or that they manipulated what they showed us to try and make a case that wasn't true? Or did they double down on their video and make excuses for why they did what they did? Let's take a look.
Hey gang, by now you've probably seen the video that SourceFed posted yesterday regarding the potential manipulation of Google search recommendations in favor of presidential nominee Hillary Clinton. Let me start with this quick update. Google responded to our story today in a number of outlets.
You know why Google had to respond in other outlets? It's because SourceFed wasn't responsible and they didn't go to Google, ask them how their autocomplete logic works, and then wait for a response from them before publishing their horribly flawed video.
It varies, so the terms that appear in autocomplete may change over time. Additionally, our systems automatically filter a small set of offensive or inappropriate content from autocomplete predictions, which is a very reasonable response. And many articles published since then have posited that the discrepancies we found may fall under that second category.
No, we didn't just posit that this might have been the answer. We proved that it was the answer, that the reason that Hillary Clinton's CRI or IND did not result in an autocomplete with crime in it or indictment in it is because it works the same way for all other people that you might search for if you put in CRI or IND, and not, as SourceFed wrongly claimed, that they were specifically blocking Hillary Clinton autocomplete results to protect her during the primaries.
So how did the video come about? Well, we were doing research for a different story about how Google could potentially sway public opinion based on search rankings. This was sourced from a Wired article that we cited in yesterday's video. We thought the original story was pretty cool, so we ran with it. While researching that video, we began searching various terms on Google to see how search results were being ranked. That led us down a deep, dark research hole. WikiLeaks, a Julian Assange quote, an article from Quartz about Eric Schmidt. It was a long day. To make a long story short, too late, we compared Google's autocomplete recommendations against other search engines and Google's own trends page using logged-in Google accounts, proxy IPs from various US states, and an incognito window in multiple browsers. TLDR, the same results came through every single time.
What's amazing to me here is they put so much effort into doing all that other stuff they just mentioned, yet they couldn't be bothered to do a simple Google search for other people with CRI and IND. They couldn't be bothered to put Brock Turner in with the same things, or Dennis Hastert, or Michael Vick, Jeffrey Dahmer, Ted Kaczynski, Adolf Hitler, anybody who could have either come up with a crime in their autocomplete or an indictment in their autocomplete. There are millions of people you could have chose from to check to see that it didn't come up, but they didn't. So that's why their methodology is flawed, despite all that other work that they did, because they didn't check this last thing that all the other reasonable people did. They presented bad information and came to a false conclusion.
Look, we saw something that raised a lot of red flags for us, so we've spent time doing research.
Clearly not enough.
The results of which were worth sharing.
No. At best, you created an incorrect video based on faulty methodology, and at worst, you purposefully put a video out there that you knew was incorrect, but you knew would be clickbait and would generate lots of web traffic.
We made a video that posed a question that we felt needed asking, and the discussion that video is generating shows that people are interested in this.
And there you go. The good old Glenn Beck, I was just asking questions excuse, as if asking a question is automatically just an altruistic thing with no bad intent whatsoever. Wrong.
To recap, we found an article that sparked a discussion in our office. We encourage everyone and any outlet who finds something that interests them to follow that thread of interest. We know we will. That's cool.
What would have been cool is if, after you had this interesting article that you thought created a very interesting line of conversation, is if you would have followed through all the way to the end and done adequate research to find that your initial premise was false and then admit it as such, especially when people prove it to you later on. But no, instead of doing that, you guys just decided that you were going to run with it and just think, oh, we were just asking questions. Is it good enough of an excuse to put out bad data?
We are putting together a more formal follow-up to the original video next week.
Awesome. And while this previous video was the perfect time for you guys to finally admit that you were wrong, maybe you will actually take the time to admit that you were wrong in this upcoming video. You know, I'm reminded of the scene in My Cousin Vinny. You know, when the FBI guy was absolutely sure that the car of the two Utes was the same car as the people that shot the clerk. But somebody else came in and they explained why the tire marks that were made in the getaway from the shooting could not have possibly been the marks of the accused. And as such, when presented with this additional data, like myself and others have done to SourceFed, the FBI person came back on the stand and said, you know what? I was wrong. My conclusion that I reached was based on incomplete data. And now that we have this new data, we can now admit that this was not the people who were guilty of shooting the clerk. And now that SourceFed has gotten all of this data, they can look at it, examine it, and say, you know what? This is now a complete picture of all the data, and now we can admit that we were wrong. Come on. You don't have to be Mona Lisa Vito to see that you're incorrect here. Apologize, do a mea culpa, say you were wrong, and set a good example for the children.